Love them or hate them, most companies are going to require employees to fill out a performance review every single year. So if they're going to make you do a performance review, I want to show you how to start preparing right now so that you can execute your performance review this year with ease. For anyone new here, hi, what's up? I'm Janelle. This is Janell Knows Money. I'm a compensation professional that is obsessed with helping you land the job and negotiate more pay so that you can live a freer life. Hit the subscribe button if that sounds interesting to you. I come up with new videos every single week. Let's get started on the 4 tips that you need in order to ace your performance review this year. Tip number 1, take inventory. The first thing you're going to do is open a Word document, or if you're more a pen and paper type, grab a notebook. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to start listing everything that you can think of off the top of your mind that you have accomplished or you've done or anything that's happened over the past year at your job. Don't worry about categorizing anything just yet or making sure it's in beautiful sentence structure. We just want to get everything from your brain onto the paper or onto the Word document. Put it in a bullet point list as it comes to you. A quick tip that I like to do when walking through this process is, once you have listed everything that you can think of off the top of your head, open your work to-do list from the past year or notebook if you list everything by hand, open your calendar and open your email. Take a quick look at that work to-do list, just kind of scanning through things really quickly and see if you missed anything or if anything on that list triggers a memory that says, hey, I should be putting this on my inventory list. You should do the same thing with your calendar. Look on your work computer, just go through month by month, take a very quick scan, see if any of those meetings that you might have had over the past year triggers a memory for you, and then write anything additional down that you can remember based off of that information. Again, same goes with email. If you're finding anything within your work to-do list or your calendar that is not making a lot of sense, that's where email comes in. You can just do a quick search to get some additional details so that you can then add those to your list. I'm going to give you a few quick examples of the types of things that are on my list, just so that you know how to start, working through this process. I'm just going to read a few of them off. So another one is created a compensation leveling structure for all U.S. employees, placed employees into the appropriate levels, and provided bonus target recommendations by level. Another one is created the upcoming merit and bonus cycle project timeline. Another one is provided salary market data to recruiting for new positions. These are just 4 examples of how you can kind of frame and start writing things down in your list, just to give you a few ideas. So now that you know that you have all of your accomplishments, all of your projects, anything that you can think of in your inventory listed, we're going to move on to step number 2, which is to highlight your standout accomplishments. Step number 2 is the reason that I personally like doing this in a Word document. So the first thing that you're going to do in order to figure out what your standout accomplishments are is to read through that entire list that you made, taking inventory of everything that has happened over the past year. And then you can group that list by project or job duty. For example, because I work in compensation, my job can be broken down into a couple of different categories, including the merit and bonus cycle, providing compensation recommendations for, mergers and acquisitions or new positions and executive promotions. There are also executive compensation duties and so on and so forth. So once your bullets are grouped appropriately, I then need you to read through them by each category. When you're reading through them, I need you to think about the following 3 questions. Number 1, which of these accomplishments under this category am I most proud of? Which of these accomplishments had the biggest impact on the organization? And then number 3, ask yourself which of these accomplishments drove revenue up at the company, or even if it's another metric that your organization values, put that in place of revenue. And then you need you to highlight the bullets that answer the questions. These are your standout accomplishments. There should be 1 to 2 of them per category. So we're moving on to step number 3, and this is adding in any metrics that further exemplify those standout accomplishments that you had the past year. Because it's one thing to identify those standout accomplishments, and it's another thing in order to prove that those standout accomplishments had a large impact on the organization, on the team, on your department, on you, etc., by using facts and metrics that back them up. Unfortunately, it isn't always enough to just state this massive accomplishment that you did without being able to back it up by those metrics that I mentioned that show how and when and what this accomplishment did for you and for the organization and for your team. So this is the part in the process. You're going to look back through your emails. You're going to gather a lot of different information so that you can then back up these accomplishments with facts and statements that show how fantastic you are. Let's talk about some examples of what this might look like. For example, number 1, let's pretend that you're working in sales, and perhaps you brought in a large amount of clients over the past year. Not only should you highlight how many clients you brought in, but you also need to then dig into that a little bit further and show your company, show your manager how much revenue you brought in to the company because you signed those clients. This is also a great tip then when you're showing how much revenue and how much money you're bringing into the company and then compare it against how much you're making. This could help you make a larger case for why you should make more. So keep that as a little tip on the side as well. Another example would be if you work in operations and the core duties of your job are to create processes and make improvements to different things that are happening at the company. So what you can do is then quantify how your recommendations and implementations alone saved the company X dollars for that year because you increased efficiency. I hope that these examples will help you reframe a little bit how you're thinking about your job and how you are not only accomplishing these wonderful things, but then how you can back those things up with numbers to make sure that you're really getting your point across that you are a standout performer. So last but not least, we're moving on to point number 4, which is advocating for yourself. This seems really straightforward, but it's important to remember that not only do you have to put this incredible performance review together to show your boss that you're a fantastic performer, but then on top of it, not only are you sending it off to them on paper, but then you have to have this performance review conversation with your manager, which means that you need to be able to advocate for yourself out loud, not just on paper. So now that you've already, done that inventory, you've highlighted your standout accomplishments and you've backed them up by metrics, what I need you to do is sit down with yourself for even 15 minutes and practice talking your accomplishments out loud. It can feel kind of awkward sometimes to brag about ourselves out loud to other people. So this little practice session with yourself will just get you more comfortable talking about your accomplishments. So then when you're having a conversation with your manager, it doesn't feel so odd or weird to say, hey, yeah, I accomplished this, I did this, and I'm really proud of it. And if you're feeling up for it, I would even recommend going through this process of advocating for yourself with a loved one, a family member, a friend, and kind of getting those jitters out of being able to advocate for yourself to them because you're in a safe space with them and they can kind of help you finesse the way that you're presenting and bragging about yourself and telling, the world that you're a fantastic employee. And if you can do it in front of a loved one, a significant other, you can absolutely do it in front of your boss. It'll feel a lot less nerve-wracking doing it a second time around instead of just doing it for the first time in front of your manager. All in all, if you get anything out of this video, I just want you to know and realize that if you do a little bit of prep work up front in order to, kind of get the jitters of doing a performance review out of the way, it's gonna go way smoother than if you just kind of, wing it and play it by ear. And as I kind of mentioned in one of the examples, if you're interested in talking to your manager about getting a raise during your performance review, I've done a video on that as well, and I will link it in the upper right-hand corner so that you can watch that one after this. So not only have you made this list and you've backed it up with incredible accomplishments and metrics, but then how you can turn that into asking for a promotion, asking for a raise, and getting paid appropriately for your job. If you have any questions about performance reviews, please leave them in the comments. I'm more than happy to be of help and answer your questions. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button so that I know to make more content like this for you. I hope you have a fantastic day. Make sure to come back next week for a new video. Bye!